Hello, it's 12 hours GMT. This is the Midday News. This bulletin is live on Joy99.7 FM in Accra. We are live in Kumasi on Love 99.5 FM. On Facebook, we're streaming live and over 30 affiliates across Ghana's 16 regions, including Laura FM in Laura, A1 Radio in Bolgatanga, Sky FM in Sunyani, and Victory FM in Aplao. Go digital on Spotify and the MindJoy online app. Coming up.
Earlier, we must set the record straight. Why are they trying to cry more than they bereaved?
Push for a bipartisan committee to probe the death of former President Atta Mills greeted with mixed reactions by residents of Etiam, the hometown of the late president. We'll be live there and get you the reaction of the opposition NDC. Also, currency traders bearing the brunt of the depreciating Ghana cedi.
People really buy dollar, they buy it now, but now the market has been slow. Why? Because the rate is high.
Since Monday, guys started going up, and we don't understand how it's going up.
Details as it crosses the 7 cedi to $1 mark barely 2 months into the year. Speaker of Parliament questions the Rambo-style approach by the police service in the arrest of journalists allegedly involved in the publication of false news. He describes it as backward.
Allegations that are considered as misdemeanors, you proceed to arrest the person, jack the person by the trousers, and gall the person into cells. Those who know that the writings of journalists offend, they know what to do.
We'll hear more from him coming up in sports.
Ghana government to invest over $200 million in 2023 Africa Games. We have details in 20 minutes.
And later in the bulletin, memories that cannot be forgotten.
When I started playing, they were threatening me. If you allow them to score, you will never.
Anytime the choir was practicing, I couldn't help hearing all the songs that they were practicing. I can sing all those songs.
From the CJ, the former President John Mahama, as they talk about their experience at the Vandal City at the University of Ghana. Stay with us for details. Hello again, thanks for choosing us. We are your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. I'm Ernest Minu. The push for a bipartisan committee to probe the death of late President John Evans Atta Mills has been greeted with mixed reactions by residents of Utuam, hometown of the late president. As you may know, 4 majority MPs have filed a private member's motion for the committee to be set up. The MPs say this will settle the mystery surrounding the former president's death, but the late president's brother disagrees. We'll hear from the residents shortly, but here is a Newsdesk report on the controversy surrounding the death of late Atta Mills.
This year marks 10 years since former President John Evans Atta Mills died. His health status became a talking point when some, including the MPP opposition at the time, raised concerns about his absence at some national events. In fact, rumors were rife that he had died and government officials were tight-lipped on the matter. But in a move to debunk the rumors, Professor Atta Mills, upon arrival from a trip abroad, jogged in the presence of journalists. In June 2012, the former president left Ghana for a medical checkup in the US. Later, he told party supporters and journalists doctors had given him the all clear.
I have just arrived from the US where I undertook a regular medical checkup. Thank God, everything is okay.
But everything was not okay. Shortly after, on July 24, John Evans Atta Mills died. There have been questions surrounding the exact cause of his death. His brother, Dr. Cadman Mills, later disclosed he had died from complications of a massive hemorrhagic stroke resulting from a brain aneurysm. But now, 4 MPP MPs want to settle the facts and mystery surrounding the former president's death. Majority Chief Whip Frank Anodompre is leading the group.
It's been 10 years. Then this call should have come earlier. We must set the record straight. We know it's a delicate call. We are doing this not out of malice. It's a pure out of patriotism.
But Samuel Atta Mills, brother to the late president, says the motion is needless.
Why are they trying to cry more than they bereaved? You care about Professor Mills than Honorable J.P. Dankwedra, who was murdered at his house. Have you investigated that? Why?
But let me tell you something. Professor Mills is the only sitting president who has passed on so far. Who has passed on so far? And I don't pray. I respected you.
It remains to be seen whether the move by the majority is born out of malice or patriotism.
That was a News Desk report. Let's head over to Tiam now, the hometown of the late President Mills, to find out how the people are reacting to this news of investigating the cause of his death. Central Region correspondent Richard Kojinyako is with us on the line. Richard, you have been engaging residents of Tiam. What have they been telling you about this probe?
So, Alex, the reactions have been made while some maintain that, well, they should let sleeping dogs lie because the man himself who hailed from that place is dead and gone, and there is even nothing to show for in Otam. Others also believe that because he is a statesman, and if it had been a common man or something, they would have supported the assertion that they should let sleeping dogs lie. But because of the narratives that also surrounded the passing of the late president, there were inconsistencies and all of that. So they are backing the four MPs that are demanding that a full disclosure or some inquiry of a sort should be done about the death of the president. And so these are the views of the people from the hometown of the late president.
That's Central Region correspondent Richard Kojinyako. Let's find out the view of the NDC on this subject. We're joined by its General Secretary, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Thank you very much, sir, for your time here on the Midday News. You may have heard the explanation offered by the majority MPs who really want to move this motion and have the matter investigated. What are your own thoughts to this latest development?
Thank you very much and good day to listeners. First of all, honestly, I don't understand what the MPs want Parliament to investigate. The purpose of any investigation is to find out maybe something that is not on public record, or there is some occurrence which is shrouded in some secrecy, and or the circumstances of which suggest that there could have been some foul play and all that. So far, I don't have any record to suggest that Professor Mills's death, there is something about Professor Mills's death that is not in the public domain. So I would like to understand what is it that Parliament is supposed to look for.
Well, Mr. Asiedu Nketia, they say that there are some mysteries surrounding the death of the president. It is not very clear exactly what caused his death and under which circumstances for which they want the probe to settle.
That Professor Mills didn't die and he was buried, or that there was some accident, the circumstances of the accident are not understood, or what? As far as I'm concerned, this is somebody who was sick. He was in the company of, people 24/7. When the illness deteriorated, he was sent to a hospital, a reputable hospital of record. And the passing happened when he was still in the hands of competent medical men. Is it the case that the doctors have suggested something fishy which needs to be investigated, or is it the case that his medical records are not available for anybody who so wishes to find out anything about the cause of his death will not get it? In fact, Parliament cannot be pushed to establish a committee to look for something that is already on public record. So I don't know what they want to look out for.
You have your MPs in Parliament. Are we going to see the party issue a clear direction as to how to engage on this matter in Parliament?
They're not there yet. We want to understand what is it that Parliament is being asked to go and look out for. Is it the case? I have heard about presidents who have died. Samora Machel died. He died in an air accident, the circumstances of which were mysterious. So there was a probe into the cause of the accident. The same way Mandela died, he grew old, fell sick, and died. I didn't hear about any investigation about Mandela's death. So if is it the case that people don't understand that Professor Mills was sick? Or is it the case that they are suggesting that he was not killed by the disease, or that he wasn't dead and he was buried alive?
Well, we'll leave it here for now. Thank you very much. That's the General Secretary of the Opposition NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia. Now, let's talk about the Ghana cedi. This afternoon, some currency traders are dreading tough times. This as a result of the cedi depreciation. Now, Joy News checks at some Forex Bureau and commercial banks indicate that a dollar is being sold above 7 Ghana cedi. The story of the cedi in the last few months has been that of fluctuations. Now, Bloomberg late last year classified the cedi among African currencies with the worst spot returns. Experts blame this on uncertainty about Ghana's fiscal outlook. Some traders have been speaking to Joy News about their frustration.
Yeah, there's no dollar in the system. There's no dollar in the system because a lot of people are demanding for dollars now. And when you go to the market, you can't get you can't get to supply them like how they want.
People are not really buying. It's like it's also scarce. I don't know whether that is causing we are not getting dollars to buy.
Since Monday, guys started going up, and we don't understand how it's going up. Now they are not traveling much, but people are coming on and off. But it's not good that through this way the market is not good. But mostly they used to check about the bills before. Maybe if I have a customer, you can check before 2-3 bills before maybe you can come here, or you call me. Oh, what's my rate? If I give him maybe 6.8, he'll tell me no. But now the market is very slow, but it's on and off. It's very slow, right?
It's not like before. Before people really buy dollar, they buy it now. But now the market has been slow. Why? Because the rate is high. Because the higher the rate, the lesser the customers comes and change money, or even buy the foreign currency.
Those are the views of some traders who have been speaking to Joy News. Let's go on to the phone lines now and speak to an economist. Professor Peter Quartey joins us. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. There are those who suggest that the uncertainty about Ghana's fiscal outlook with the recent downgrades by major rating agencies may have contributed to this. Do you agree?
Hello?
Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, can you speak a bit louder?
Yeah, so if you can hear me, there are those who suggest that the uncertainty about our fiscal outlook on the back of the downgrades we have seen from major rating agencies may have contributed to the depreciation we are seeing in recent times. We are only in February this year.
Yeah, good afternoon to your discerning listeners. I think it's partially you can say that when it creates uncertainty on the minds of investors and even people, they tend to speculate. So that partially accounts for it. But there are other sources of raising foreign exchange. We get forex from exports, remittances, aid, loans. The loans could come from cocoa syndicated loans. We could get from Eurobonds. We could get from other sources. However, if you look at the outlook these days, you'll clearly see that because of our fiscal slippages, there's some level of speculation as well as increased demand or pressure on the foreign exchange. In the first quarter of every year, if you check data, you find that investors or the multinationals repatriate profits. You'll find that the Chinese New Year is around this time, so there is a pressure on the exchange rate and so on and so forth. So it's not just due to the downgrade by Fitch or Moody, but it's also something that is inherent in our current dispensation. Oftentimes, when we go for Eurobond and other things, it helps to stabilize. But now, if we hit a threshold, we cannot continue to borrow on the capital market. What is left is for Bank of Ghana to continue. I mean, the good thing is that the Bank of Ghana or the country has enough reserves. So it could use part of the reserves to cushion or to ease out the pressure as we continue to look for more foreign exchange through exports and other means.
Thank you very much. That's Professor Peter Korte. He's an economist at the University of Ghana. Now, Speaker of Parliament Alban Badmin has questioned the Rambo-style approach adopted by the police service in the arrest of journalists allegedly involved in the publication of false news. He describes it as backward. The Speaker, who is incensed over the recent development, argued that the swift arrest of these journalists is an affront to free speech. According to the Speaker, persons who feel slanted by what they describe as false media publications should resort to the rule of law and not to use force by the police.
It's when the citizen is refusing and failing to do so, and you have evidence that the citizen wants to escape from the ambit of the law, that you can proceed to arrest the citizen. There are some heinous crimes that you can also proceed to arrest. But allegations of misreporting, allegations that are considered as misdemeanors, you proceed to arrest the person, hijack the person by the trousers, and gall the person into cells. That belongs to yesteryears, not today. Those who know that the writings of journalists offend them, they know what to do. They have a recourse to the law. Those are civil matters. They are not criminal.
And you heard the Speaker of Parliament, Alban Badmin. Let's go to the House now and speak to correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson on the very latest on the Dome Kwabena MP who has not been in the House for 15 working days. Parker, has this issue been raised on the floor again?
Well, so the standing orders are quite clear that if you absent yourself for 15 working days, your seat or your conduct should be referred to the Privileges Committee, and when they establish that you were absent without any justifiable cause, which is captured under Order 15.2, then the Speaker would now have to declare your seat vacant. In fact, this afternoon, some minority members have raised concerns that since today is the last day, from next week, if Sarah Addressappo does not report herself in the chamber, they will invoke Order 16, which would refer her conduct to the Privileges Committee, and they will establish that indeed she was absent without permission, and following that, the Speaker would now proceed to declare her seat vacant.
That's parliamentary correspondent Kwesi Parker-Wilson. Now, Parliament's Health Committee says their calls on the Health Ministry to urgently take steps to complete stalled health facilities across the country has fallen on deaf ears. This comes as the lack of bed space in the Ashanti region's only referral hospital with its attendant strain on health delivery is giving rise to concerns about the progress of work in 5 major health facilities at various stages of completion. Love FM's Erastus Asaridonko reports.
Little Efia Sika Opoku Jemfi had breathing problems and was referred to the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital from the Asukwa Children's Hospital. Her father, Francis Opoku Jemfi, says his daughter gasped heavily for breath every 30 seconds, even under oxygen, at his first port of call.
I couldn't stand the situation, so I was...
Health professionals at the Asukwa Hospital later informed Francis the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital lacked space to accommodate her sick daughter.
The way she was breathing and she would be shouting, at least every 30 seconds. Whoa. And I asked about the man in charge, the doctor or the PA or so. So, what are they doing? They say they have called the ambulance service. They have called the ambulance to come and take her to Komfanochi. Komfanochi says there's no bed to accommodate my daughter. So I should wait, or they should wait for next morning.
She died. Little Sika represents many who lost relatives due to lack of space and an overstretched single referral point for Ashanti region and beyond. Public Relations Officer for the Komfanochi Teaching Hospital, Kwame Frimpong, indicates the hospital's facilities are overstretched.
If you come to the National Emergency Center, for instance, the orange unit, which was supposed to be catered for 12 patients, we've added beds to the extent that at times you come and you see up to 56, 48, 52 patients in the space that was given to us for 12 patients. Until we have reached that point where we have complementary facilities to take some of the pressure off Confirmatory Teaching Hospital, there will be times that we will have exhausted our capacity and we will not be in the position to admit additional patients.
Erasto Sasari Donko filed that report. Meanwhile, ranking member on Parliament's Health Committee, Kwabena Mintah Kando, tells Joy News the health minister has refused to heed their calls.
As members of Parliament, when we go on sex tours, you either invite the minister responsible to come and answer questions, or you make statements and all that. We have invited the minister on several occasions to answer questions with that regard. To that regard, we also probe further when they appeared before the committee to defend their budget. And you see, sometimes as leaders of this country, when issues are brought to the fore, you must, get worried.
That's Kwabena.
Or you thought you will never.
Anytime the choir was practicing, I couldn't help hearing all the songs that they were practicing. I can sing all those songs.
We'll hear from the Chief Justice and former President John Mahama, who have been sharing their experiences at the Commonwealth Hall of the University of Ghana. Details after the break.
What brings you to my house this early morning? I hope all is well.
All is never well with me, Nick Bakbo. After paying 3 times for the land for my project, the construction workers are now giving me wahala. From material overestimation to small stealing. I am tired.
I told you so, Efokoku.
It's all because you are trying to become builders when you're corporate workers and business people. Edlum has products tailored to meet your needs. Villas 3 at Amrahia, where there are finished homes, Conveniente, also at Amrahia, where it's contemporary but super affordable apartments. Prices start from $35,000. And the Avant-Garde, located in Adjurigano, which has sleek luxury apartments. For more information, please visit edlumhousing.com or simply call 0270-166-166. Edlum Housing, where spacious homes cost less.
Thanks for staying with us here on the Midday News. It's now time for sports. Mutal is here with the latest. Do you see the difference between the hard song and the Kotoko one? The feeling is different. Just admit it.
And one is talking about winning for you. The other says that it's a mighty tree. I don't know what the tree represents, though, but you need to win for your fans. Not how mighty your tree is. It should be about winning.
Haas is definitely going to win. Is Sule playing, by the way?
Yeah, Sule is going to be in action. Unfortunately, House of Folk, one of their star men, which is Salif Ibrahim, he's injured. He's not going to be available for the game. And this is a fixture of 1st versus 8. 12 points adrift for House of Oak in this game. It's a contest. Many would say that it's a mismatch, but most often games like this you don't require form to do it, because Kumasi and Sandigoro have got 36 points, House of Oak have got 24 points, and House of Oak have not had a very good season. That's why many people actually believe that this is a fixture Kotoko could be walking away with all the maximum points. And the history of Kotoko have always shown that they've won at the Accra Sports Stadium against House of Oak more than the Phobians have done at their home ground. Last season has won, but this season, what is going to happen? We'll have more on Sunday. Now let's talk about the 2023 Africa Games, where the Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Usif, has revealed that the government is spending about $200 million into infrastructure.
Ghana has met its obligation of paying the initial $900,000 to the African Union as a commitment fee to host the 13th African Games. The government of Ghana is committing over $200 million to provide the international standard sports infrastructure for the Games and several millions of the US dollars in activities before during and after the games.
That is the Minister of Youth and Sports, Mustafa Usef.
Thank you, Mutal, for bringing us the latest in sports. Now, the third wave of the COVID-19 business tracker has shown a rising use of mobile money among firms for sales. Data compared to Wave 1 and 2 reveal almost 7 out of 10 firms are now using mobile money to do business. This comes on the back of the revelation that more than 90% of businesses that shut down as a result of the negative impact of the pandemic have now resumed full operations.
The survey, 97.5% had opened, indicating percentage points between the first wave and the second wave.
We can now hear the government statistician break down the figures on the increase in mobile money transactions by firms.
In the third wave, we have recorded 8.6 in terms of increased access to financial services. In terms of how firms are responding from a digital point of view, we continue to see aggression on the side of firms from both a mobile money use perspective and an internet use perspective. Specifically from a mobile money use perspective, we see a doubling between the waves 1 and 2, increasing from 35.7% to 69.6%, and from an internet use perspective, we see a 1.5 times difference between the first wave and the second and the third wave, specifically 8.4% to 13.1%.
That's government statistician Samuel Lenin. Now we're learning of the easing of restrictions in some countries here in Africa. My colleague Manuel Cranton joins me in the studio with details. Manuel, what are we learning?
So, Ernest, in Uganda, you will no longer need to take an on-arrival PCR test at the Entebbe International Airport. And the country's Ministry of Health has dropped requirements for tourists arriving in the country to take that test at the airport. Instead, visitors need only to have a negative PCR test not older than 72 hours. In Zimbabwe, however, Bloomberg is reporting that all ports of entry have been opened with immediate effect as COVID-19 cases in the country continue to decline.
Well, thank you very much. So this afternoon we asked the question, is it time for Ghana to ease the restrictions on the COVID-19 pandemic? Here's virologist at the KCCR, Dr. Michael Ozu.
I think it's too early to talk about relaxing restrictions at the airports. If you have followed through the trend, you realize that we had our fourth wave, which somewhere began to see a reduction in the new cases and active cases somewhere, I think, latter part of January.
And that's KCCR virologist Dr. Michael Owusu. Sounds from the hilltop, the Vandal City, as Chief Justice Kwesi Enin-Yeboah, former President John Dramani Mahama, and the Minority Leader Haruna Iddrisu shared their experience in the Commonwealth Hall with students at the University of Ghana. Listen.
Complain bitterly, Doc, our food is not good. Please, can you spare us some time and come and test it so that you... He said, oh, you are eating the best of food on the campus, so he was not prepared to come. So what did we do? One day we packed every food that they had prepared. We seized every food from the kitchen, put them on trucks, wheelbarrows, straight to the university where he was working. I said, if you claim the food is good, you eat everything. At the time we got to the football field to play Saba, I was tired because of the jamba and everything. And when I started playing, they were threatening me. If you allow them to score, you will never. And that's what.
I was torn between being announced the first Muslim chief vandal and then leading with the choir master with those songs of Mubeye, scoreboard,
And they actually poisoned my mind about Commonwealth Hall. Oh, that is a hall for ruffians. Oh, that is a hall for profanity. That is a hall for... they said the worst things about this hall. And that Legon is the gentleman's hall. I said, wow. Our room 836 was close to the Bacchus shrine, Father Bacchus. And so anytime the choir was practicing, I couldn't help hearing all the songs that they were practicing. So I can assure you, I can sing all those songs.
Experiences that cannot be forgotten. Time now to find out what's trending on social media. My fellow Oprobate joins me in the studio. Manuel, what's trending?
So NAPCO is in the trends this afternoon, and a lot of comments on NAPCO at Longfellow underscore J says over 180 days they've not been paid, and you think they've not exhausted every laydown procedure to get their monies. They talk to their coordinators, Minister of Information. They've done everything but to no avail. This one says that if you see how I am struggling to even get a day's meal, you understand the struggle of NAPCO beneficiaries. And Gary Zella says that if there is no NAPCO recruitment, why are we paying those in administration?
Thank you very much, Mano. That's what's trending on social media, but that's how we end the news here on Joy99.7 FM. You find more stories when you log on to myjoyonline.com. I'm Ernest Mino. Good afternoon. Up next is Dr. Mensa Otabil with Living Word.
Business a bit news to say. So the projections from the first quarter show a higher total gross profit for the fiscal year. A bit me a kasa saying Nana, who's not land you? He did a port right. A bit me to say.
Here are your items.